What if I told you that the most disadvantaged person in any competitive situation isn't the one with no skills, no connections, or even no work ethic? It's the genuinely good person. You know the type. Plays by the rules, treats everyone fairly, refuses to compromise their integrity even when it costs them. Society calls them admirable. Niccolo Machiavelli called them something else entirely. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why this person gets systematically exploited, passed over, and left behind, while people willing to be strategically ruthless succeed at their expense. Or maybe you're that good person wondering why being good feels like a disadvantage. But first, let me show you exactly what I mean. You're watching two people compete for the same promotion. On one side, there's Emma, who does excellent work, helps her colleagues, refuses to take credit she hasn't earned, plays fair in every situation, classic good person. On the other side, there's Derek, who does good enough work, but takes credit strategically, undermines competitors subtly, makes sure the right people see his wins. Who gets promoted? Hold that thought, because what I'm about to tell you will flip everything you believe about fairness and success. Derek gets promoted because he understands that the game isn't about being the best. It's about appearing the best to the people with power. Emma stays in her position because she refuses to play political games that feel dishonest. Derek's strategic ruthlessness looks like leadership. Emma's genuine goodness looks like lack of ambition. So why does everyone tell you to be good, when being good guarantees you'll lose to people willing to be strategic? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Society tells you to be good because good people are easy to exploit. Machiavelli spent his life studying power, and what he discovered was this. The world doesn't reward virtue, it rewards the appearance of virtue combined with strategic ruthlessness. Because good people prove that everything we've been taught about fairness and merit is a lie that keeps honest people weak, while strategic people accumulate power. But here's what Machiavelli knew that nobody talks about. Good people don't finish last because they're not good enough. They finish last because the game is designed by people who aren't good, for people who aren't good, against people who are good. While good people play by rules that don't exist, strategic people play by the actual rules of power. And those rules, that's exactly what separates people who succeed from people who stay good and stay losing. But to understand why, we need to dig into the brutal truth about why goodness is punished and strategic ruthlessness is rewarded. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are. But what happens when you're actually good instead of just appearing good?" If you've ever felt punished for being genuinely good, this video is for you. Like, subscribe, and let's understand why goodness loses. Leave a comment about the last time being genuinely good cost you an opportunity that someone less scrupulous took. That's the genuinely good person. They're a walking disadvantage in competitive environments. Has integrity that limits their options, fairness that others exploit, honesty that's weaponized against them. Won't take credit they haven't earned. Won't undermine others to advance. Won't compromise principles for advantage. And this guarantees they'll lose, because if success doesn't require compromising integrity, if advancement doesn't demand strategic ruthlessness, if winning doesn't need you to exploit others, then what does that say about every system that rewards exactly those behaviors? But here's where it gets really interesting. Machiavelli discovered something that explains why good people systematically lose to strategic people. And it has everything to do with the difference between how the world should work and how it actually does. Remember that frustration you feel watching less ethical people succeed? Machiavelli had a name for it, and once you understand what it is, you'll never see competition the same way again. Quick question. When was the last time being genuinely good gave you a competitive advantage rather than a disadvantage? Not someone praising your character, not feeling morally superior, but actually winning something because of your goodness rather than despite it. Can't remember? That's because it doesn't happen. Machiavelli discovered that our belief in meritocracy isn't about how systems work. It's about keeping good people playing by rules that guarantee their defeat. He called this the gap between how we ought to live and how we do live. Those who play by ought lose to those who play by is. And in our culture, the biggest lie is that being good leads to success when it actually leads to exploitation. But here's what Machiavelli knew. We're told to be good, play fair, and follow the rules. We're promised that merit wins, that fairness prevails, that good people eventually succeed. Not because it's true, but because systems need good people to follow rules while strategic people break them for advantage. Think about your last competitive situation. Did the best person win? Or did the most strategic person win while the best person played fair and lost? The good person doesn't use available advantages because they seem unfair. They don't take credit strategically because it seems dishonest. They don't undermine competitors because it seems wrong. And somehow, this is the part that breaks good people's understanding. Their refusal to play the actual game guarantees they lose to people playing to win. Machiavelli wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." What keeps good people losing isn't lack of ability. It's that they're optimizing for being loved, being seen as good, fair, ethical, while strategic people optimize for being feared, which means being effective, powerful, winning. But what if being good isn't a strategy for success? What if it's a strategy for control that keeps you exploitable? Here's what the success gurus don't want you to know. The game is rigged against good people by design. Everything you've been taught about merit and fairness is designed to keep you playing a game you can't win. Machiavelli wrote, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see and few can feel." Strategic people understand what everyone can see matters more than what actually is. While you're being genuinely good, they're appearing good while being strategic. While you're doing excellent work, they're making sure the right people see mediocre work. While you're refusing to take unearned credit, they're taking credit for everything, including your work. This is why your goodness keeps you losing. The game doesn't reward actual virtue, it rewards perceived virtue plus strategic action. Remember Emma from the promotion scenario? While Derek was strategically managing perceptions and undermining her subtly, Emma was focused on doing good work and assuming merit would be recognized. Her genuine goodness was a disadvantage in a game that rewards strategic appearances. Machiavelli called this understanding the nature of power versus believing in fairy tales. Power goes to those who understand its nature and use its tools. Good people believe fairy tales about merit and lose to people using power's actual tools. But here's the really crazy part. Admitting this feels wrong. It feels cynical. It feels like becoming what you hate. And that's exactly how the system maintains itself, by making good people believe that understanding how power works makes them bad people. So they stay good, stay ignorant of actual rules, and stay losing. Machiavelli believed that a prince must not have any other object nor any other thought, nor take anything as his art but war and its rules and discipline. The strategic person has made winning their art. They've studied its rules. They've developed its discipline. And that gives them systematic advantage over good people who refuse to study the game they're playing. Now we get to the real reason society tells you to be good. And it's not what you think. This isn't about morality. This is about control. Machiavelli wrote, "The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present. But society needs you to keep promises, while strategic people break them for advantage." Think about it. Our entire moral system depends on one thing: good people who follow rules while strategic people break them. You're taught to play fair so you're predictable and exploitable. You're taught to be honest so you can't deceive when necessary. You're taught to be good so you won't use the tools that actually win. The strategic person looks at this system and asks one simple question: why would I handicap myself with rules my competitors ignore? And nobody has a good answer because the answer is, so we can exploit you. They have strategic ruthlessness without guilt, rule-breaking without shame, advantage-taking without hesitation. This makes them winners. Winners threaten a system that needs most people to be exploitable losers. But here's the deeper fear that keeps the be good lie alive. What if all the good people learned to be strategic? What if honest people started using power's actual tools? What if the most capable people stopped handicapping themselves with fairness? If that happens, The current power holders lose their advantage. They've succeeded not through superior ability, but through willingness to break rules good people follow. And good people who learn strategy while maintaining capability become unstoppable. The good person who refuses to be strategic represents someone who will be eternally exploited. Someone who makes success easier for strategic people. Someone who keeps the current unfair system functioning. Machiavelli observed, "Never was anything great achieved without danger." The good person avoids the danger of appearing bad, appearing strategic, appearing ruthless. And by avoiding that danger, they guarantee they'll never achieve anything great. But here's where this gets personal. Because Machiavelli himself was the perfect example of what happens when someone tells the truth about power that society wants to keep hidden. Niccolò Machiavelli was literally the person who exposed how power actually works, and his treatment proves everything. His contemporaries called him evil for describing reality. The church condemned him for revealing what leaders actually do. Society made his name synonymous with wickedness for writing the truth. Machiavelli spent years documenting what looked like cynical wickedness to idealistic people, observing that successful leaders break promises when advantageous, noting that effective rulers appear good while acting strategically, recording that power goes to those willing to be ruthless when necessary. Sound familiar? That's exactly what happens to anyone who tells good people why they're losing. But here's what Machiavelli knew that his critics couldn't accept. He wasn't endorsing evil, he was describing reality. His advice wasn't about being bad, it was about understanding the game. His wickedness was simply refusing to lie to good people about why they finish last. And from that refusal to lie came insights that revealed how power actually works. The prince, the nature of strategic thinking, the gap between ideals and reality, the tools that actually win. All of these concepts explain why good people lose today. They all emerged from one man willing to tell the truth that society wants hidden. The game isn't fair, merit doesn't win, goodness is a disadvantage against strategic ruthlessness. This is the pattern with truth-tellers about power. They appear evil to their contemporaries because they reveal the game. Robert Greene was called manipulative for describing influence. Sun Tzu was considered ruthless for explaining strategy. Every person who explains how power actually works gets attacked. But history proves they were describing reality, not endorsing it, because good people keep losing in exactly the ways these strategists described. The good person today is losing for the same reasons Machiavelli described 500 years ago. And just like then, they're told the problem is them not being good enough, when the actual problem is the game being designed against goodness. Here's what Machiavelli knew that our culture still denies. Good people finish last, not because goodness is bad, but because the game rewards strategic ruthlessness, not genuine virtue. And society lies about this to keep good people exploitable. But maybe you're starting to recognize yourself in this description. Maybe you've been genuinely good and watched it cost you repeatedly. Machiavelli wrote, "Men are so simple and so much inclined to obey immediate needs that a deceiver will never lack victims for his deceptions. But understanding that your goodness makes you a victim requires recognizing these signs. Let me show you these signs. If you recognize them, understanding this will transform how you compete. First sign, you've been passed over for people less capable but more political. While you focused on merit, someone focused on perception and won. You did better work, but they got recognition. Your goodness made you focus on substance while they focused on appearance. That's not you lacking ambition. That's you playing by rules that don't actually determine outcomes. Second sign, people take credit for your work and face no consequences. You help colleagues and they present your contributions as theirs. You share ideas and others implement them for recognition. Your goodness makes you generous while strategic people are exploitative. Sound familiar? That's not you being too helpful. That's you being exploited by people who understand credit is taken, not given. Third sign, you feel guilty considering strategic actions others use freely. They undermine competitors and feel nothing. You consider basic strategy and feel like you're becoming bad. Your goodness includes a moral framework that handicaps you while competitors feel no such constraint. Fourth sign, you've noticed that Nice guys finish last in your field, but convinced yourself merit still matters. You see the pattern, but explain it away. You watch strategic people succeed, but tell yourself the system will eventually reward your goodness. Your need to believe in fairness prevents you from seeing the game clearly. Fifth sign, when you try to be strategic, you do it badly because you feel guilty. You attempt to manage perceptions or take deserved credit, but your heart isn't in it. Your goodness makes strategic action feel wrong, so you do it half-heartedly and it shows. Sixth sign, you justify others' success with, "they're not really happy," or "karma will get them." While they accumulate power and success, you comfort yourself that they're secretly miserable. Your goodness needs to believe that being good is eventually rewarded and being bad is eventually punished. Reality shows otherwise. Seventh sign, you feel increasingly frustrated with how things work, but keep playing by the rules. You recognize the system is unfair but refuse to use its actual rules. You complain about how things are while continuing to act as they ought to be. Your goodness has become self-sabotage disguised as integrity. You've been taught these are signs of your virtue being tested. You've been told to be more patient, work harder, stay good. Machiavelli would tell you you're being systematically exploited. When you understand that genuine goodness is a competitive disadvantage and learn to combine virtue with strategy, you gain access to something powerful. Not becoming a bad person, but becoming a good person who understands the game and refuses to be exploited anymore. This is why some people seem both good and successful. They're genuinely good in their values but strategic in their actions. When you're not handicapping yourself with rules others ignore, you can win while maintaining your actual values. This is why they don't finish last, despite being good. Because they've learned the difference between being good and being stupid. But accepting this truth, that goodness alone guarantees you lose, that's the hardest part. Now comes the practical question. How do you maintain your goodness while refusing to be exploited? Machiavelli believed that a man who wishes to act entirely up to his professions of virtue soon meets with what destroys him among so much that is evil. But once you understand goodness is a disadvantage, you need a framework for strategic goodness. First, separate your values from your tactics. Your values can remain good while your tactics become strategic. You can value fairness while taking credit you've earned. You can value honesty while managing perceptions strategically. Being good doesn't require being stupid. Good values don't require self-sabotaging tactics. Second, learn to see and use the tools of power without guilt. Taking credit isn't evil. Letting others take credit for your work is foolish. Managing perceptions isn't manipulation. Being invisible is self-sabotage. Strategic action isn't wickedness. Refusing to compete while others do is guaranteed defeat. The tools of power are neutral. How you use them determines morality. Third, develop what Machiavelli called virtù, the combination of virtue and effectiveness. This isn't abandoning goodness for ruthlessness. It's combining genuine goodness with strategic competence. You remain good in your core values, but become strategic in competitive situations. But here's the most important part. You have to stop expecting the world to reward goodness. Society won't suddenly become fair because you deserve it. Merit won't magically start mattering because you want it to. Good people won't stop being exploited because that seems wrong. The world operates by actual rules, not rules you wish existed. Machiavelli understood this. He described reality, not ideals. You can remain genuinely good in your values while becoming strategic in your tactics. Your integrity might need to exist at a different level than your actions. Your goodness might need to protect itself with strategy. Your virtue might need to be combined with power's actual tools. And that's not corruption. That's refusing to be exploited. Think about it. Every successful good person learned to be strategic without losing their values. They maintained integrity while understanding the game. Their goodness guided their goals while strategy guided their tactics. But when they succeeded, despite being good, everyone wanted to believe they succeeded because they were good, not because they learned to combine goodness with strategy. Their strategic competence was hidden behind their genuine values. The same transformation is available to every good person. Stop playing by rules that don't exist. Start using the rules that do while maintaining your actual values. Because while you're handicapping yourself with fairness, Strategic people are winning with tools you refuse to use. Here's what nobody tells you about being good. You can maintain your values while refusing to be exploited, but it requires seeing the game clearly. Let me say it again. Machiavelli wrote, "It is not titles that honor men, but men that honor titles." You've been honoring a system that doesn't honor you. You've been playing fairly in an unfair game, and that choice gives you moral superiority and competitive defeat. The ability to feel good about your integrity while watching less ethical people succeed. The comfort of believing merit matters while results prove it doesn't. The satisfaction of being good while finishing last. But your goodness won't suddenly be rewarded. It won't fit the merit-based narrative that society preaches. Instead, strategic people will continue to win while you play by rules they ignore. Less capable people will continue to succeed while you do better work. The game will continue to be unfair while you hope for fairness. And that's perfect clarity. Because once you see the game clearly, you can choose. You can remain purely good and accept losing. Or you can combine your genuine goodness with strategic competence and actually win. Society needs you to choose the first option. They need good people who stay exploitable. They need capable people who handicap themselves. They need honest people who refuse to use power's tools. But Machiavelli's truth remains. The world doesn't reward what you are. It rewards what you appear to be, plus what you're willing to do. Good people finish last, not because being good is wrong, but because refusing to be strategic while others are is guaranteed defeat. If you're a genuinely good person who keeps losing to less ethical people, if you've noticed that merit doesn't determine outcomes in your field, if you've been told to be more patient while strategic people succeed, Machiavelli would recognize you immediately. You're not losing because you're not good enough. You're not struggling because you need to work harder. You're not being passed over because you lack ability. You're finishing last because you're playing by rules that don't determine outcomes while your competitors use the rules that do. The question isn't whether you should abandon your goodness. The question is whether you'll combine your genuine values with strategic competence. Because Machiavelli was right about power. Everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are. And sometimes the most strategic thing a good person can do is remain genuinely good while learning to appear and act in ways that refuse exploitation, even when that makes you seem less purely good. The good person who learns strategy isn't society's villain. They're proof that goodness doesn't require stupidity, and that's exactly why the system fears them. If this video made you understand why being good has cost you, or if you recognize yourself as someone who's been exploited for their genuine goodness, let me know in the comments. What did being genuinely good cost you that someone less ethical took? And if you want more content about combining genuine values with strategic competence, subscribe and hit that notification bell, because we're just getting started with truths about power that society doesn't want good people to hear.